Hi everybody, this is a video overview of the Rick Hinder Design Zero Tolerance 566. And this is a smaller version of the 560. I've had the 560, and this is a different knife. This is a totally different knife. 560 had convex or contoured handle scales. It had 3D machined with like a check pattern. Lock side was also contoured. The lock side was titanium. The blade steel was Elmax, and they made a bunch of versions that ran different blade steel. This knife is Elmax, but it has a stainless steel handle, and instead of the bearing system that the 560 has, it has an assist. And I think that this is a really, really good step up from the cryo. In fact, the material is identical to the cryo except for the blade steel. The cryo runs 8CR 13 MOV, and this runs Elmax. And you can get this in a nicer version, but this one runs Elmax. And so really, you're just paying for a bigger knife with better blade steel. The G10's the same, the stainless steel handle's the same, the Hinder lock, in fact the clip is identical. Most of the construction methods are identical. But I actually like this knife quite a bit. It's a ZT that isn't a behemoth. If you compare this knife to, say, this knife, it doesn't seem like it's a whole lot bigger, but oh man, it's just massive. It is massive. It's just a bigger knife all around. And I actually prefer this size knife. The ZT that I actually like the most is probably the 0770, which is even thinner than this knife. It runs the same blade length, which is 3.25 inches. But I think this is an interesting knife if you're looking for a Hinder design. But if you're just looking for a good knife, if you're looking for a knife in the ZT line, I think I'd probably rather have the 0770. It's thinner. I think that even though they both run assists, I think the carbon fiber on the base model of the 077, it makes it lighter. It's a nicer knife, but it doesn't have that one really important thing that this knife has, which is the Hinder design aesthetic. One thing that I would note in terms of, well, a couple things that I would note in terms of a drawback. First of all, they did what I think is probably a fatal design flaw, which is right here. They put jimping in your landing path on the flipper tab. So every time you deploy the flipper, your fingers are going to brush up against the jimping, and it does start to wear your finger down. It's kind of stupid. This is just a boneheaded thing. Just remove that last bit of jimping and you're fine, or channel it out. Even if you want to leave the jimping, like create a channel, like chamfer this inside bit, give it a place for your finger to land smoothly, and it'll be fine. The other thing that I've noticed is that, let's see if I can get it. There's all these sort of weird instances in which you could hear the torsion bar inside there. You can hear it moving around. And so it doesn't happen on a consistent basis, but it does happen on a pretty frequent basis. I don't know how to get it to do that, but there you go. I don't know why it does that sometimes, and sometimes it doesn't. But it makes the knife sound kind of chintzy or cheap. It doesn't have any effect on performance. I've played with this knife quite a bit, and hasn't done anything to screw up the lockup or anything like that, or fail to deploy. So it's just a little thing. And this is exactly the reason why I don't like assisted openers, because it's another part that can fail. So, you know, ZT and Kershaw do such a good job with their manual flippers, like the Skyline. I don't really see why they need to mess around with the assists. So if I were the head of ZT, I would take out the assist in every one of my knives. But I'm not. Apparently they sell, so good on them. I would note that one of the things they talked about in the 562 is that there's this double scallop here, and by getting rid of the double scallop and only having the indexing notch, the notch for your index finger, it gives you a much more universal grip, because you can sort of place your pinky in there and not have any worries about where your other finger is going to go. Same thing in the forward grip. So in that sense, I think this is probably a better knife than the 562. But in every other sense, the 562 is a better knife. I just like the size of this knife. It's a little smaller, a little thinner, not quite as tall. So this is a video overview of the 0566.